Well, I've been talking about it for a couple of years, and I finally went out and bought my first Indian motorcycle, but there's something that's really upsetting me about this bike that I gotta fill you in on. Going to tell you the pros and cons, going to show you some of those biggest changes that they've made, tell you what I would change on the bike, and of course tell you what is making me a little bit mad about this motorcycle as well. If you like what I do, consider subscribing. Let's go and get into it. So Indian did something similar to Harley this year. They went with their flagship model and they changed everything about the Indian Scout, and we now have 5 new models of them. So from the Scout 101 to the Standard, the Sports Scout, you also have a Touring Scout, and then the Scout Bobber. Each one is going to offer you wildly different setups as far as handlebars, shocks, brakes, tires, wheels. I mean, they are so wildly different. They used to be a lot closer, now not so much. So I'm going to have all 5 of those motorcycles in one video coming soon, and we'll compare all those differences. But as far as what we need to know for this video, the Bobber is like the base model, if you will. Now, each one of the models, you can actually do limited or limited plus tech, except for the 101. The 101 is going to come limited plus tech no matter what. So limited is going to be traction control, cruise control, keyless ignition, and ride modes. The tech is going to be the ride command. Now I'm going to fill you in on all the details on the Scout Bobber, but I really just got to get this off my chest about what's bugging me with this motorcycle. You know, 2 years ago I made the decision to go full-time. I had a great job, great benefits, working at a parts department for a dealership, working my way up, and I made the decision to leave that job to go to YouTube full-time, and it was one of the scariest things I ever did. But because I made that decision, not only have we doubled in size since then on this channel, but now I have an opportunity to give something back to y'all, and it's a big thing. I bought this bike, my first Indian, and it's going to one of y'all. So it's not quite as bad as you think. So I've partnered up with Fan of Them, who is a small veteran-owned business. I've worked with them in the past. And one thing I like about them, not only are they veteran-owned, so I like to support them, but I'm a small business too. And so by doing that, we actually keep the pool of entries very small, and the time frame is small as well. And a lot of the times you have a chance of winning a motorcycle with 500 entries. It really gives you the best opportunity to really win a motorcycle, and so I'm super stoked for this opportunity. We've also made it easy to enter. So you click the link in the description of this video. That will take you to Headshot Nation. Headshot Nation is our community. So it is all of my videos in one place from both channels. You can pick and choose what you want to watch. It's ad-free videos, exclusive videos, early access, also a chance to reach out to me. So if you want to video requests, if you want to see this bike versus this one, if I can fulfill that request, I will absolutely take your requests and your suggestions, and of course your comments and anything way before anybody else, because you are a part of Headshot Nation. You sign up for 6 months, it's a less than $50 for that entry, and you're automatically entered to win the motorcycle. You get all of the perks of Headshot Nation and an exclusive download because you are a founding member. Again, I can't thank you guys enough. Everything you've done, I don't know that you thought just by sharing and watching the videos that it would lead to something this big. I didn't even know if this would be possible, but because of our partnership with Fan of Them, we've been able to do it, man. So I'm super stoked to give back to y'all. Y'all have made a huge difference in my life. I can't even get to explaining to it all in this video. Maybe we'll do that in a live Q&A over in Headshot Nation if you'd like to hear it. But you guys have made a huge difference to me and my family, and I am super appreciative to every single one of you. Good luck. Make sure you click that link, and you got to enter by September 30th at 11:59 Pacific Standard Time. That will be the cutoff. So make sure you click the link and enter. Good luck to every single one of you. Let's walk through some of the changes. Starting up at the front, we of course have a 16-inch wheel, which is pretty standard for the Scout series. Whole lot of rubber up here, real beefy tire, and you may think it's not as nimble as some of the other motorcycles in this kind of mid-weight cruiser class, but it really is. It's a fairly nimble motorcycle for sure. And of course, bobbed fenders, front and rear, solo seat. We'll talk about that here in a minute. One small change they made, which I really like, is they moved the high beam switch right here, so you can use your index finger, pull it back towards you if you want to, you know, flash somebody to pass, or flick it forward to keep it on full time if you need it. You also have a dummy switch right here. So this is the standard model. So you're going to have standard, limited, and then limited plus tech. This being the standard, it does not have cruise control. Limited is going to give you cruise, traction control, and ride modes. And then your limited plus tech is going to give you all that plus the ride command. So because this is the base model, we have a standard instrument cluster here. We have digital tachometer, but an analog speedometer. We also have a few different options in there, so we can look at the ambient temperature and trip 1, trip 2, that kind of stuff. It's going to give you, you know, low voltage warning, low oil warnings, stuff like that. So pretty basic, but you also have a fuel gauge up in there as well, and you're going to be able to see, you know, your miles per gallon if you care about all that stuff, and then also a clock in there. So really simple design. Console right in here, you can see you have another couple of dummy switches, just like the bigger Indians do. So again, these are things that could potentially be added. Now, the only thing that you're not going to get on this bike, which I thought was an interesting move, is keyless ignition. As you go up to the limited and then the limited plus tech, obviously, it's going to be keyless ignition. That is something you can upgrade on this bike, though. That's one of the things I know you can upgrade from the limited package. Now, big thanks to American Biker in Latson, South Carolina for making this review and this giveaway possible. They've been there since the beginning, and they have given me unlimited access to their entire catalog of motorcycles, so I can bring you the reviews, the comparisons, everything that you've seen over the past 5 years. And it's pretty cool because I've had a chance to meet quite a few of y'all up at American Biker. Rob, who's a good friend of mine, a lot of y'all know him, he actually sold the bike to us at a fair price. So even with this giveaway, they have continued to support everything I do, and I am really appreciative of everything they've done for the channel, past, present, and future, including this giveaway as well. So big thanks to those guys. If you need anything, talk to Rob up at American Biker in Latson, South Carolina. Not only have they redesigned the tank, but it's a little bit bigger, 3.4 gallon tank now. So you get a little bit more range there. Now here's one thing, I don't know if a lot of people are talking about it. If they are, great. If not, this is a huge, huge change. But it's kind of subtle too. So when you compare this to an old Indian Scout, you know, of course they're all liquid cooled, and so is this one. But the radiator and the frame kind of ran down together. So that frame ran down the length of the radiator. It was really wide, kind of ugly, stuck out. They redesigned the entire frame. So now it looks more traditional, it looks cleaner. It's just a really nice change in there. Little bigger radiator, liquid cooled, with the new 1250 engine. And it's made it up to a 6-speed transmission now. So if you do a lot of highway riding, this is a bike that can actually do it, and you're not going to rattle the teeth out of your head. So that's pretty cool. Forward controls, of course, just like all of the Scouts. So I kind of relate this position whenever you get on the bike to like the letter C. So if you look from my arms down to my legs, it's like the letter C. Very interesting riding position. But of course, handlebars and stuff can be changed. I personally like the aesthetics of this motorcycle, which is why I went with that. These handlebars definitely is something that I would change for sure, but keeping like the bar end mirrors and stuff is something I would for sure do. That new 1250 engine, by the way, not only have they redesigned the aesthetic of it, but it's going to give us 105 horsepower now, 82 foot-pounds of torque. This liquid-cooled engine, it is peppy, that's for sure, and I really like this engine. Now, the Scout has always kind of been known for that. I think my very first Indian review was a Scout. Maybe it was a Chieftain, but I know the Scout was right there. And that's one thing I've always liked about these bikes. They're a midweight cruiser, but unlike an Iron 883 or 1200, you actually feel like you have some power. This thing has some balls, and now it's got even more. And in comparison, again, this one is 542 pounds with all of the fluids. My Road Glide is 822, I think, stock. So 300 pounds lighter almost with this motorcycle, same horsepower. That's pretty awesome. Now, of course, the torque is a little bit less, but still, this thing is peppy. single-sided exhaust, just like the old ones, but now it is a single exhaust. I'll go ahead and say that is one of the worst parts about this bike. I do not like that exhaust. Most of the time people change the exhaust anyways, but Harley is doing something similar with that style of exhaust on some of their bikes. Not a fan of it at all. Bobbed fenders, of course, and now you have certain areas where you can add bags. Another cool thing is you can add like your swing arm bags, left and right now, to give you not only a little bit more storage, of course, but also to kind of match the aesthetics. I think there's, I don't know, 100 accessories, and then there's 30 plus combinations for your seats, handlebars, all that kind of stuff. They have a lot going on. This Solo seat, it's like a tuck and roll seat. Nice white stitching. They look nice, and that's about it. I don't want to do any more than 20 or 30 miles on a seat like that. Another thing, you have slam suspension. So again, they're kind of sticking with the slammed midweight cruiser, which looks fantastic. Just don't hit a bump too hard. Don't hit potholes pretty much at all, and definitely don't be on this bike with a passenger until you upgrade. This one is not for you and a passenger. So if you want to take you and your honey around and you're looking at a Scout, I'd probably go Super Scout at that point, or the 101 Scout. So that's just my opinion though. And then of course we have single disc, ABS, front and rear, 2-inch suspension, and a little bit of adjustability there too with the preload. We've talked about all that. Let me tell you a little bit about how this bike rides. It is every bit as fun as the original Scout. It's fast, it's light, it launches quick, you know, I mean, it's a good around town bike night, short ride commuter that looks really good. One thing when I step back from the motorcycle now, with that frame, the new frame design, the engine, everything is just a little bit cleaner. That frame is actually a lot cleaner, to be honest with you. And it still has that kind of almost like a muscle bike appearance to it, with that, you know, kind of big front tire and the rear tire, the bobbed everything. It's got a really mean appearance to it. LEDs in the rear too, and then a side license plate there. So it rides good. Throttle response is awesome. If you want the additional ride mode, you got to go with the limited, right? So that is something that you could, if you wanted to spend a little bit more money, you could go with. If you wanted the ride command and have that ability with GPS, weather updates, all of that, that too is something you could go with on the Scout. Of course, adding the limited plus tech is going to be a bit more money for sure. So that's something you want to consider. But this bike comes in 13,000 is what they start at. So that's a lot of motor and a pretty good amount of motorcycle for that price. Now, as far as things I would upgrade, things I'm not so fond of, that's suspension. If you hit anything even closely resembling a pothole, as you would imagine, it's going to beat you up quite a bit. These bars, although I like the bobber appearance, pretty much everything on it. By the way, they did add contour lines to that rear fender as well. I don't want you to miss out on any of that stuff when you're looking at it, because it definitely looks sharper. But I would have to change the bars out, but keep this bar and mirror, because it just adds to the aesthetic. It looks really good. I just need them to come up just a little bit more, and I would be satisfied with that. Other thing, exhaust. Very common thing to change the exhaust, but just the aesthetics on it, not a fan. And this seat right here would have to go as well. Other than that, I think for me, if it was my motorcycle, then I would put the swing arm bags left and right. Gives you a little bit more storage, and it looks really good at the same time. So I've always liked that look with the single sided. Normally it's just one side, normally the left side, but now you can get them both left and right. Other than that, besides those couple of things, that's all I would change. Now, what pisses me off about this motorcycle is we're actually giving it away. So I bought it, I get to keep it for a little while, but then I'm giving it away to one of y'all. So if you want a chance to win this motorcycle, again, July 28th to September 30th, that is your window. Click the link in the description of this video. Sign up to Heckshot Nation, 6 months, $50. Boom, you are automatically entered to win this over $13,000 motorcycle for a $50 shot. I'd say that's pretty awesome. So if you like what I do, consider subscribing. See you in the next one. And as always, hold them down.